Hello everyone and welcome to the final round of the Prague International Chess Festival. This is the Masters section and we have a fine game between Anish, Giri and Praggnanandhaa. We're not going to talk about what happened in the other games, as some of you might not have seen them yet. But going into the final round, Aravind is leading the tournament. So if Aravind wins, he wins definitely. And Prague is trailing by half a point. So if Prague beats Anish with black and Aravind doesn't win, he gets a draw. Then we go into tiebreaks. And if Aravind loses and Prague wins, then Prague wins the event. And I think it's sort of a poetic way to end the tournament, as in round 7 Aravind defeated Anish, Giri with black. So if Prague wants to be the winner of the Prague Chess Festival, he has to do the same, beat Anish, Giri with black. Can he do it, and what will he choose as his opening of choice? Let's check it out. Anish with white opens with pawn to d4, and after that loss, Anish won a very nice game, as you've seen yesterday. So let's see if he can also muster up something for the final round. He plays d4, we have knight f6, pawn to c4, g6, knight to c3, and bishop to g7. Both players, as you can see, playing very quickly. Prague opts for the King's Indian defense. We have pawn to e4, and the most standard variation, pawn to d6, and bishop to e2. We have castles kingside and the immediate pawn to not pawn to e5, first knight to f3, and only now pawn to e5 by black. We have castles kingside, e captures on d5, knight captures, and rook to e8. Again, nothing new being played here. These are the top moves being played. F3, and now knight to c6 and c6 are the two most common variations here. Knight to c6 played a little bit more than pawn to c6. Prague opts for pawn to c6 line. King to h1, also top move in the position. Knight v to d7, bishop to e3, and pawn to a6. So you can see they're not even wasting a second on these moves. They're just blitzing him out. Knight back to c2, and now knight to e5 by Prague. We have pawn to f4, chasing away the knight. Knight e to g4, putting pressure on the bishop, and just bishop back to g1. Of course, you would like to have your bishop pair. You don't know where this game is going, and pawn to h5. Prague advances on the king side, as one usually does in the King's Indian defense. We have bishop to f3, and now bishop to e6. And interestingly, you can see the situation on the clock. Anish spent a couple of minutes getting to this position. The position has been reached in 2011 in Dortmund, and it was played in a game between Vladimir Kramnik and Ruslan Ponomarev. And Kramnik won this game by playing pawn to b3. And Anish mentioned after the game that he was actually present at that game, and he saw the game being played live. And Kramnik's pawn to b3 choice is only the second favorite move of the engine. The engine's favorite move is queen to d3, and this is what Anish played. And as you can see, instantly he did not burn any time on this move. So he knows very well what he's doing, and obviously he has analyzed this position very well. So as far as surprises go, Prague did not manage to surprise Anish all that much in this very important game. So we have pawn to b5 by Prague. You can see that he spent quite a bit of time for this one. C captures, we have a captures, now threatening bishop to c4 to win some material, and Anish goes rook f to d1. We have pawn to d5, striking in the center, and pawn to e5 by Anish, and now comes knight to d7, and believe it or not, it is only now, as of move 19, that we have a completely new game. And this is where the fun really starts. Knight to d4, now putting pressure on the c6 pawn, waiting to see how Prague defends it, but Prague doesn't defend it, or rather he does, but with a tactic. He plays knight captures on e5, knight d captures on e5, sacrifices a piece for these two central pawns, and he's saying, I'm playing this for the win, I want to win the tournament, and let's see what happens. We have f captures, knight captures, now attacking the queen and defending the pawn on c6, queen back to c2, and now bishop back to d7, nicely defending and also not allowing any unnecessary trades. Pawn to a3, stopping pawn to b4, as one always should, and Prague continues pushing on the king side, pawn to h4. So if you look at the position, okay, Anish is definitely up a piece. Prague managed to grab control of the center. If he can get those pawns marching down the board, it could be very good for him, but knights are excellent blockading pieces, and Anish has two of them. So pawn to h3, stopping further expansion, and now pawn to c5, attacking the knight, And here, the idea is if the knight moves, then you really will play something like knight captures, and pawn to b4, and it will be very, very hard to counter this. Something like rook captures, queen captures, and with the queen controlling this diagonal, very, very hard to play. Now, something like knight e2, you can even pin this knight and then push d4 and then open up the diagonal. This will be a very, very good chances to win for Prague. But Anish doesn't do that. He plays bishop captures on d5. He immediately gives back the sacrificed piece. C captures on d4, and now bishop captures on d4, positioning his bishops beautifully here. And Prague goes rook to b8. With rook to c8, it's still a very, very competitive game. However, after rook to b8, Anish is now definitely in a much better position, and he can move the knight. With rook to c8, the knight will not be allowed to e4, so he goes knight to e4, and very difficult to find the move here for Prague. Whatever you play, you will suffer at least a little bit. Like to give you an example, let's say you play bishop e6 or anything really. The problem is that always those bishops move and the queen gets exposed. Something like bishop captures, rook will capture on e6, bishop captures on e5, and you cannot capture back as your queen is hanging. So Prague has to deal with this, how to prevent any unnecessary trades, and how to prevent any blunders. And he finds a very, very tricky idea, that is bishop to g4. He attacks the rook, so there are many things that could go wrong here for Anish, and in fact there is only one winning variation here. Feel free to pause the video and try to find the winning idea for Anish while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on not being tricked by Prague's tricky bishop to g4 move. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is bishop captures on f7. That is the move, and I'm just briefly going to show what happens if you say, well, can't we just do this? I mean, isn't it the same? Don't we win the black queen? Yes, you do, but after bishop captures, there's no rook on d1. And now after rook recaptures, now you play bishop captures on e5. And while you can give up the bishop and the rook for the queen, look at this. It's bishop and two rooks versus a knight and queen. Black will be the one playing this for the win, not white. That's you know, definitely an idea. And also after bishop to g4, what happens if you just play h captures, then queen captures on d5. That was Prague's idea, and if he could get this, then he will be very happy. Now bishop captures can be met with queen captures and just exposing the queen to the rook. You move the queen, and you're very happy here. This is these are the positions that Prague is dreaming of. But bishop captures on f7. Prague was very unhappy when he saw this move, probably overlooked it, but you know, it often happens when you're, you know, you have a position, you don't maybe know your worth, you're just finding moves that allow you to win the game. You don't see the moves that are losing for you. It happens to me. I guess it could happen, you know, to anyone. But yeah, bishop captures on f7, very, very unpleasant, because you could capture with the knight, you could capture with the king, or you could just move the king. There are many options here. None of them very, very good for Prague. And we could briefly show like knight captures on f7. How do you react here? Knight to f6 check. Only move that wins, but no doubt that Anish would have found it. Bishop captures, and now queen captures on g6 check. If the bishop goes back, you just checkmate him. And if king f8, now you play bishop captures. And although you are attacking the queen, you're not really interested in the queen. You're interested in queen g7 checkmate. And there is no defense here. So after bishop captures on f7, you could also ignore the bishop, play king h7, but then bishop captures on e5. And again, the queen is hanging. You will play bishop captures on d1, rook captures on d1, and now look at this. This rook is hanging, this rook is hanging, the queen is hanging, the bishop is attacked. If the bishop moves, also the g6 pawn will be hanging. This is a dream position for white. So after bishop captures on f7, Prague did the only thing he could, you know, to keep the game going a little bit, maybe give him some chances if Anish messes up, you know, tremendously. King captures on f7, we have h captures on g4, and now queen to e7. Again, if knight captures on g4, which looks like a very juicy pawn, then there's queen b3. And look at this. That is just terrible. King f8, bishop c5 check. No squares left for that black king. So after h captures on g4, queen to e7 was played, and now bishop to c5. The absolute best move from Anish. Queen to c7. If queen to e6, also the problem is that you would like to stop queen b3 check, but now that the king is on f7, also one of the reasons why you should give up that bishop on f7 instead of on d5 is that now knight g5 check picks up the queen. So after bishop c5, queen to c7 was played, and now queen to b3 check, making it very, very problematic for that king to even survive. Knight to c4, and now knight to d6 check with a nice fork here on the rook. We have king to g8, and now just capturing the rook. Knight captures on e8, we have rook captures on e8, and queen captures on b5, removing the defender of the knight, attacking the rook on e8. What do you do here? We have rook to e4, taking care of both threats, but now, although there are many ways you could play this, Anish finds the one where probably Prague can resort to the least amount of resilience as possible, and that is bishop to d4. Seems like you're blundering a piece, but not really. If bishop captures on d4, you're just going to give queen d5 check and pick up the rook here, and if you try rook captures to stop queen d5 check, you will just trade first. Rook captures on d4, bishop captures, and then deliver a check, pick up the bishop, and enjoy your queen and rook versus queen and knight endgame, or, something, after a middle game that is very, very easily winning. So after bishop d4, Prague again tries complicating. He plays knight to e3. Looks, if that knight is allowed to remain alive, could be a very, very annoying piece. So of course Anish eliminates it. Bishop captures on e3, rook captures on e3, and now rook to d3. Rook to d7 does appear to be the more active move, and it is very nice for white, but, after queen g3, it looks annoying at least a little bit. Rook e1 check, and maybe you can get a draw here, something like this. You can't really, because there's check, and then when the king moves, there's queen to c7, stopping any queen back to g3 action, and also just threatening rook captures on g7. So it doesn't really work, but there is no need for Anish to allow that and to burn unnecessary time calculating. He plays rook to d3. After some, calculating for about a minute, we have rook to g3. Again, Prague finding the most complicated way to continue, saying that, okay, if you capture, then I get my pawn here. It's still, crazy. But Anish now just goes rook to d7. We have queen to f4, and now queen to b7, threatening rook captures, and not much to be done here. Queen to f6 was played to defend the bishop, and now rook e1, and he was in this position on move 40 that Praggnanandhaa resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The rook is now in the game. There's nothing to even try here. If you play something like rook captures on g4, we could even show a way this could resolve, but basically you just capture, and then after queen captures, you give a check, you pick up the rook here, so you can't really ever capture the g4 pawn without capturing it. There's no way for you to continue, but we could also show how this could conclude. Yes, you're up only one pawn, but that is not why you are better here. You're better because the black king is very easily attacked, and you're up a full rook. So that's, a pretty big thing. King g7, queen captures on h4, something like queen to f5, and now you just go for checkmate. Rook to e8, g5, you could go queen to h8 with check king g6, and now you will either checkmate the black king, or something like rook g8 check, and you win the black queen, and then you checkmate the black king. Yeah, after rook e1, Prague resigned. There is nothing to even try here, and Anish said in an interview with Chagar after the game that it was a good attempt by Prague, but Anish knows this position. He was actually there in Dortmund in 2011 when Kramnik played this against Ponomarev. He knows the position. He analyzed that he made a better move than Kramnik in that critical position without even burning any time. Says that he has seen it many times, and it was just bad luck for Prague trying this against Anish. But yeah, who knows how many positions like these Anish has analyzed, and you're just gonna fall for it and have a terrible end to your tournament. But yeah, Anish is an elite player. He has the white pieces. No one is a favorite with black against Anish, and here again Anish shows us why. He says that even going into the game itself, he said that one of the scenarios was that Prague over pushes because he really wants to win, and then he loses. Yeah, he even said that, you know, at one point he jokingly said to Prague that why does he even play the King's Indian, that you know, no one wins with the King's Indian. Maybe that's also one of the reasons that Prague decided to play it against Anish, you know, just to prove him wrong. But maybe that was Anish's way of planning ahead. Maybe, you know, he knew that, you know, at some point there will be in a tournament in a final round where Prague will really need a win with the black pieces. He's gonna opt for the King's Indian, and Anish will be ready. So maybe Anish is playing chess before he even, you know, starts playing chess. Who knows how far his game reaches. But yeah, really nicely done by Anish, showing us why he's such an elite player. And regarding the actual tournament, the game between Aravind and Eddie, or rather Edis Gurel and Aravind, has ended in a draw. First, Edis was better. He was definitely pushing for a win. Then at the moment Aravind equalized, Edis offered the draw. Aravind checked out the position. Prague's game still wasn't over. Prague's game was, I think, at around this position. Prague played 93, when Edis offered a draw, and Aravind looked at that position and he probably thought, okay, if Prague wins this, I mean, then you know, what are we even doing here? So he accepted the draw, and Prague, of course, lost this game to Anish, and that means Aravind is the winner of the tournament. We're going to show at least one more game from Prague Chess Masters 2025, and then we're going to check out the final standings, because I don't think all of the games have finished. Let me just check real quickly here. Yeah, Wei Yi is, of course, still playing, as Wei Yi is always still playing against Liam Le, so as Prague has lost this position, if Wei Yi wins, he gets clear second place in the tournament, and Win is still playing against Vincent Keimer, obviously pushing for the win. So yeah, a lot of good stuff happening. So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry, that's the wrong board. I would like to thank Janko Popovic, Kushin for pushing, Priscilla Woodley, Gerhard Homer, and David Gasparian for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day and an excellent start to your weekend. See you soon.